Hey, you there. Thank you for watching, and welcome to Forge Lines Forever. Today, I have a 3v3 ladder matcher on the most amazing Neuroxus map generator. So let's go ahead and introduce our teams and our players, starting off with Team 1 in the Northeast, ending with Team 2 in the Southwest. Starting off with Team 1's Southern and isolated player here in Orange to color orange. It is Carl as a Cybran, as a 1549 rated player. To his north, we have in the northeastern corner of the map here in Chevy Crimson Gorthard. He is an Aeon. He is an 1855 rated, and I'll probably call him Gore for short. And last but not least, here in Ruby Red to his west here is Furkotya. Don't know how to pronounce that correctly. We're probably going to call him F for short. He is a 1967 rated player, the highest rated player on Team 1 and in the game overall. And on Team 2 side of the map here. Oh, also Team 1 has 2 Cyberns and 1 Aeon. They do not have any UEF or Seraphim players. Starting with Team 2's isolated player in the north here, we have in Amethyst Purple Tynet as an Aeon. He is a 1609 rated player. And all the way in the southwestern corner of the map here in Royal Blue is RNA as a Seraphim. He is an 1847 rated player. And last but not least here for Team 2 in Stitch Blue, the highest rated player on their team is Blinchek. If I can say his name correctly, he is a 1951 rated as a UEF, and again in Stitch Blue. So for Team 2 side of the map here, they have 1 Aeon, 1 Seraphim, and 1 UEF, which means Team 2 only lacks Cybran technology. And as a reminder, Team 1 lacks Seraphim and UEF technology. And for 6 players on the map, let's take a look at how much reclaim they have to scoop up. Currently sitting at 7,000 mass, a little bit more than that. So about 11 to 1,200 mass per player to scoop up. Definitely a lot better than the last ladder match we had, where it was 0 mass on the field, which was definitely surprising for me. And in the corners of the map here, specifically on the reclaim side of things, is a nice almost 2,000 mass grouping here. And that's exactly where Carl is headed off to grab it. And in the middle of the map here, there's a couple of 500s and 400s as well. And in terms of mass points, I'll cut the map in half kind of at an interesting, almost vertical diagonal, but a little slanted. They have on Team 1 side of the map a quad mech position, a tri-mech position, and a quad mech position here on the northern side. And on the southern side, there are 2 tri-mech positions here, which may or may not be fought over by Blinchek at a minimum, at least this one specifically, because it is kind of the choke point here for the southern side of the map. So I would not be surprised to see Carl build some land facilities. The only problem he is going to have, of course, is the fact that there is a transport with Blinchek's engineers. I don't want to say transports, but a transport with transports. That'd be very interesting. Transport with units on board going for this group of reclaim right here. And he is going to beat Carl there. Definitely unfortunate for Carl. He already has engineers going for his other mechs, but that's going to be a lot of mass that he is going to lose out on. And Team 1 PD are being built to protect the investment. Great grab here by Blinchek just to make sure he grabs the 1800 mass reclaim and denies his opponent of any sort of mass. We do see similar style of play here from Tynan in the west. Sends in a couple of engineers, and we do see engineers outbound for F as well, moving to that northwestern corner of the map here. Transport with engineers also on board here for Carl moving in. Of course, Carl just going to keep walking forward, doesn't care about the Team 1 PD, kills off all the engineers, and will drop engineers just barely out of range of that Team 1 PD so they can start scooping up that mass. I'm going to speed it up to +2 because these ladder matches take a little bit longer to start getting nice and exciting. We do see that pretty much all the mass points on Team 2 side of the map have been grabbed. And he has grabbed Blinchek, specifically that tri-mech position that I pointed out earlier on. But the engineer is killed off before the last mech was constructed. Definitely unfortunate. But now, of course, Carl's going to pump out his factories and start getting those engineers to scooping up that mass. And in the middle of the map here, not really a lot going down here between either of the players on the Team 1 or Team 2 side. And they're just kind of holding out. We do see that more transports being thrown together and sending units across the map. We do see that the units that were dropped off earlier on by F have now built a couple of facilities here. One Team 1 PD, just enough to possibly try to hold out against Tynet's commander. And more PD are being built to, again, do that exact thing. Units have been dropped and have now been sighted by Team 2. And just more and more transports ferrying units across the map. This isn't a 20 by 20, but it's a decent chunk of map considering it is a 3v3 ladder. So this is a lot of air for our players to deal with here in this game. We do see wall sections being built to prevent any sort of land incursions from the west, at least at a minimum, talking about the rearguard airstrike player of RNA. If he does go for air, I would assume that he does. Possibly, possibly not. I don't see Blinchik doing it anytime soon. He probably might assist later on, but I don't see him being the designated air player for his team. Is T2 started here for Team 1? Yes, it is. T2 has been started in the air department. And still, not really a lot of huge bits of action going down here. Blinchik is continuing to pressure. Carl in the south has grabbed this Trimex position that I labeled would be fought over between these two players. Gun damage range has been started for him, and gun speeding range has been started for Carl, but his is almost done. And if he moves in immediately, he might be able to knock out the upgrade being built for Blinchik, but we do see some engineers dropped off to assist with the upgrade, so I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon, unfortunately, for Team 1. We do see that Tynet's trying once again to assault this base up here to the north, but we do see that F is moving in to assist with his commander personally. And in the middle of the map here, I mean, there's really not a whole lot still going down. Both of these players in the game, they are the rearguard airstrike players, so they're focused on other endeavors. We do see that RNA is on the front lines, and his opponent and mirror of Gore is not. So we'll see if that plays into things as time goes on. And of course, now we see if Carl moving in, trying to again just force back this scouting party of strikers. T2 coming online here for Blinchik as well, wants to establish a nice little firing line. And his units have dealt with the one little facility down here, and it's going to grab the mechs in that corner of the map. Gun has been started for F in the north. Range has been finished here for Tynet. He's going for speed just to be able to attack those PD at better engagement points and further away, so he's not shot at. Speed upgrade is going a little bit faster here for Team 2's Tynet than it is for F, but he's already at 50%, so it's not terribly far behind, but it is a little bit at a minimum. T2 is now done. He's going for PD. Carl is moving in with his commander. The thing is, if Carl can get there before the PD is built, it might be enough to throw Blinchik off, but of course the PD is continuing to be built by the engineers. And it does look like Carl notices that and goes, no, you're not building that PD. So the first come-on-come action here has occurred at 10 minutes. And that is between Carl and Blinchik. And he is going to finish off the PD placement. Overcharge goes in, takes out a Extractor, I think. Look like a pillar, but pillars and Extractors look very similar. Of course, Carl is focusing on the Triad. Reclaims a tree for a moment. Goes, I don't want to reclaim a tree. He has fallen into the yellow and has now gained a rank of veterancy. So he's able to gain a little bit more hit points to save his bacon. But he is still being forced back by the PD in placement. And this will only favor Team 2 if the engagement like this continues to occur, especially with engineers getting in and being destroyed by Blinchik's forces and a nice little facility down there just to pump out a couple of supporting units in the corner. We do see that Tynet is moving in to again assault this base in the northwest. Some rocket bots are online to assist, but trying to shove him away. F is moving in with his gun comm. Tynet's moving in right into range of F's commander. And does F notice him? He does. So he starts to retreat and getting out of range of him. Stealth has been started by Carl to be able to get closer to Team 2's front line. There is a radar system in place, but it will be nullified, at least for Carl's sake, by his upgrade. Team 2 needs Omni to be able to punch through that stealth. Well, and cloaking, to be fair, but it's at least the radar system at a minimum that the stealth is going to be able to deal with. Of course, Blinchik is freaking out right now. He's trying to build his PD way close to his commander, so his comm's just like, I can't get a nice little, just can't do it. He's really struggling to get a nice little lock on to that structure there. Rocketbots moving and going after the PD emplacements being built, and Tynet and F strike at one another. Radar system goes down, will blind Team 2 a little bit in the west. We do see a couple of attempts to go after the facilities over here as well to try to slow down Team 2's expansionary efforts for their land department. We do see in the southwest T3 upgrade has been started. Same thing here with the air player of Gore. So both air players are going for their T3 upgrades. And the game was paused ever so slightly, at least in terms of my viewing of it. Of course, I don't have to deal with waiting. It just happens instantly. F constantly poking and prodding at the weaker Aurora, and of course his rocket bot's doing a great job of going after the Team 1 mobile artillery as well. And at this point, he's kind of isolated the commander of Tynet between himself and his other forces to the north. And of course does split a lot of its firepower, though, giving Team 2's Tynet a little bit of a better advantage for that grouping. But in the southeast here, still Karl really facing down a horde of Team 1 units here. I wouldn't be surprised to see some land units here ever so slightly in terms of the T2 tech, which is now online. He has a parashield that's just been built, a couple of pillars. Looks like he's actually moving in to possibly assist his teammate of RNA down the middle. And Team 2 has a huge advantage in the land department over here because there's defenses, there's actual like T2 units running around. Team 1 doesn't really have a whole lot in terms of a couple of units, but that's it. Wall sections aren't going to stop the Team 2's approach for indefinitely. They can just destroy the wall sections. Strikers move in around the frontline defenses of Karl, and Karl's been forced to retreat constantly. And Blinchik is just going to continuously move in and continuously just bottleneck and force Team 1 to fall back considerably. He's lost a lot of territory here, even at 13 minutes and 37 seconds. Karl is on the back foot quite considerably. Team 1 sitting at 226 mass income, Team 2 at 240, so not a huge advantage one way or the other in terms of Team 1 being under Team 2. But it does make a difference a little bit. But we do see some success here for Team 1 in forcing back Tynet. So at the same time that Karl is falling back, we see Tynet is falling back as well. So it's like poetry, it rhymes. Like both sides are falling roughly at the same time. We do see that Blinchik is building more PD, just PD creeping his opponent. And it's going to force Karl back. There's not much he can do about it. He'd be better off to just go back to this position and try to hold this. We do see a couple of raiding units outbound from RNA to go after a couple of PD emplacements here for Gore. But Gore is, again, focused on the air expansionary efforts, which he has T3 online. So does RNA. And he is building his T3 Pigeon as he does so. And he's actually upgrading to T3 land as well. So he's doing double duty of playing a land player and an air player. And you kind of have to do that even in ladder matches, especially with a map like this where there's just combat pretty much everywhere. There's no kind of only two lanes kind of thing where one player can focus on one and one player can focus on the other one. There's essentially three major lanes. But at least at a minimum, you got to have something to fight back with. And a lot of the forces and reinforcements for Tynet actually being shifted to the middle just to, again, poke and prod at the defenses for Team 1. And I would not be surprised to see F divert more and more resources over here to deal with that incursion if it does get worse and worse. But you can see here almost at the same time still Team 1's frontline player is retreating, Team 2's frontline player is retreating. And this is a huge advantage. Team 1 has the entire northern section of the map under their control. Team 2 has the opposite. They have the southern side of the map under their control. Stealth is now being upgraded once again here for Karl. He had to cancel it earlier on. And he could probably bring his Mantis in to assist with the upgrade as well. It won't do a whole lot, but something is better than nothing at this point. He desperately needs more assistance in that department in terms of staving off Team 2's attack, and same thing for Tynet. He needs as much help as he can get staving off Team 1 attack, but Tynet's engaging F once again. I don't think that's wise. F has almost 2-star veterancy. Tynet has 3 stars, but he's in the low yellows though, so he has to be very careful with how long he continues to engage. Units starting to creep on him on this western edge of the map. Tynet has fallen into the red. This might be the first departure of the game. F looks like he's just going to walk him down at this point. Overcharge takes out a chunk of hit points once again. And more rocket bots continuing to flood in the area. F dropping below 500 hit points, 300 hit points, 200 hit points, 100 hit points. There he goes. Team 2 loses the first play of the game at 16, almost 16 and a half minutes. And that is going to be Tynet being killed up by F. And this is continuing to just give Team 1 a ton of momentum on this western side. But of course, it will give somebody on Team 2 another base if the base stays up. A couple of PD have been built, but I don't think it's going to be enough to force back Team 1's approach. I wouldn't be surprised. Yep, those units in the middle here for RNA are moving in to intercept. Looks like he's gained control of that secondary base, or the main base that once belonged to Tynet. And all of those PGens are going offline. Rhinos and Mantis flooding into the scene here, of course. I think the Mechs will be taken offline, and then F will retreat. I feel like him staying there too long is going to be to his detriment, so just killing off something is better than nothing. We do see that Blinchik still pushing back Karl, but again, Karl has a little bit better go of it because his base is not under threat as of yet. He still has a decent land army. Not that great, but it's something better than nothing. Does have a couple of transports that can ferry some units to the front lines. And in the west, you can see one of those mechs is taken offline, and F is like, yeah, this isn't really making dividends for me. I'm just going to fall back. So essentially, Team 2's RNA gets an entire base besides one mechs. He did get that mechs for a little bit, but it was destroyed nonetheless. The downside, of course, for being so far forward in quote-unquote enemy territory is the fact that to retreat, specifically for F and for Blinchek, is if bombers are inbound, unless your air forces can move into intercept, that's a dead calm. He can fall into the water and kind of hang out for a little bit, but he's just stuck there. So he has to be very careful with how far he pushes in. That's why F's like, well, it looks like he was retreating, and then he's deciding, no, he's not. So just scratch what I just said and completely forget what I said, because F is retreating. But not retreating. He's pushing in. Once again, he's not retreating. There we go. There's the words that I was trying to say. Carl, again, still just ever so slightly. It's just kind of like a mind game at this point. Overcharge kills off a pillar. He's able to get some veterancy. Now he's at 2 stars. Overcharge kills off an engineer. And it's just not looking good here for Carl. Constantly having to fall back, fall back, fall back, fall back. And again, in the west, it's the same kind of situation, but Tynet is dead. The APM is starting to be split here for RNA. He does have dual bases, which is nice, but of course, he has to split his attention between the front line and the air that he's building, which will start to make his stay in the game a little bit more strenuous. And of course, that subcom brain sets in a lot sooner because of that. It just makes it more difficult to just play the game in general, because people get fatigued playing this. It's just one of those types of games. I thought I was the only one that felt that way, but when I started watching Guilecast a long time ago, I'm like, oh, it's not just a me thing. It is an everyone thing. Everyone feels that way. That's good. It makes me feel. But of course, the more experienced players are better equipped at dealing with subcom brain, but everybody feels its effects. It's not, no one is immune unless you are somehow an artificial intelligence. Somehow. You're not Johnny Depp from that one movie. Oh, I forget what movie he... I think it was Johnny Depp that he played. Like his body was damaged to the point where, essentially it was comatose or something, and then they transferred his brain into his computer, and then, long story short, he would essentially took over the world for a little bit. Something I can't remember what the name of that movie is, but I think that was Johnny Depp. Anyway, in the West, speaking of whatever's going on over here, F continuing to punch through Team 2's defenses. We can see more PD are being built, though, which will stop his approach, but he probably wants the T2 land headquarters here for the Aeon faction that RNA now has control over. He's about to get it. There he goes. His air forces are sitting here waiting for Team 1 to engage. We see a couple of units outbound from Gore pushing in as well just to assist with the push. It's not really going to get anywhere. The damage is done. The entire base is gone. And more facilities coming online and be able to resupply F a lot easier, more easily. If you stack there, you will die to air. He has 2 bases now, or 1.5 bases, says Gore. Talking to F specifically. F is sitting at 5-star veterancy, though, so he has a lot of hit points to play with. He just needs to go for nano, and I think he'll be fine for at least a little bit longer. But, I mean, like Gore said, the longer he stays there, the worse it's going to be. Not you, talking about F. Yeah. Well, same here with Carl. The thing with Carl, though, is that he's trying to push back at Blinchek, and Blinchek is not giving up, getting more PD. It's just going to be a heavier cost in terms of kicking him out of his territory. He does have T3 land online, which will help with that, but there's so many triads that have been built along the way. It's going to be very annoying to do with a lot being 5, but, it does cut out some some HP as time goes on. Carl moving in, taking out a couple of engineers. Blinchek getting another PD online. Carl does have stealth online, so he can't see him. You can only get visual confirmation of him once he's obviously in visual contact range. Oh, he sees him for a brief moment. He gets shot at, Carl does, and then falls back once again. And in the West, still F is pushing. He's not relenting. Stealth coming on the way for him as well. And like I said, that's very dangerous to sit there long term. And at 21.5 minutes on the clock, to take a look at the game overall, Team 1 has all of their players remaining. Team 2 has lost Tynet, making this a 3v2 at 21.5 minutes. Team 1 sitting at almost the identical equals of Team 2. Team 2 barely in the lead in terms of that, but that's partly due to the fact that, of course, they've lost an entire base worth of eco, so they would have been a lot further ahead. But RNA, of course, does have dual bases, and both of these players are sitting at over 200 mass, independently of one another. So that's a lot of mass per second. Comparatively, Team 1 has Gore at almost 200, and everybody else is 150 and below that, with Carl even below 100. Carl is starting to stave off Blinchik, but that discrepancy in income, if Blinchik focuses everything on him, he's just going to be buried in mass sooner rather than later. But let me know down in the comments who you think is going to win this game and who do you think MVP is going to be. And of course, if you haven't done so already, like the video and subscribe to the channel. Thank you so very much for watching to this point in the video. And of course, share this video with anyone, everyone, especially your pets, because even your pets deserve to watch this glorious game of Supreme Commander Forged Alliance forever. And I think I'm going to split my focus a little bit for the time being, just so that we can monitor both fields of war theaters, or fields, either or, of war at the same time. We do see, of course, Blinchik is now being bombarded by some tickle cannons. Not really a lot of damaging PD emplacements. It's some damage. We do see some bricks moving in as well, going after the shield and targeting the PD that is underneath it, and the comm as well. Blinchik just getting more and more and more PD online. The comm is just holding back a little bit. He's going for a nano, and he's just finished his nano repair. Maybe he'll go for cloaking. We'll just have to see. Blinchik has fallen into the yellow, though. He's got to be careful. He has gun in T2. He could be easily wiped out if those forces do engage. It looks like the west has kind of died down, so we'll switch back to the east. And Blinchik is still holding strong. He is starting to fall back, though. Shield pops back online at a very crucial moment. Overcharges one of the bricks, and T1 bombers are inbound going for that commander. He's like, oh no, those bombers will not get a second pass in for the most part, but there's a lot of dead HP on board that commander, or gone HP I should say. Most of the units on the land have been eliminated though for Carl, so he's gonna, for Carl, so Blinchik will be fine in that regard. A couple of bombers do make a secondary pass though, but not really going to make that much of some worrisome here for Blinchik. He is sitting at 6,600 hit points and is at 3-star veterancy with T2 online as well. But it is going to give a little bit more breathing room for Team 1. But there are gunships moving in, and unfortunately there's no AA nearby here for Carl. Carl's like, oh no. And that not cloaked commander of Carl is suffering. He doesn't have a lot of AA nearby. Trying to fall back. He's in the yellow. He's fallen quite quickly here. 102 hit points of regen is not enough. These engineers could be building some flat cannons just to distract. And Carl is gonna die here. There's no hopes for him. Black is now in range. It's not a lot of damaging though. Oh, and there he goes. He kills off all the gunships though. I think that was a that was a confirmed kill by RNA. And it is now a 2v2 game here with the ASF here from Gore moving in just a little bit sooner. Possibly would have saved his teammate, but there really wasn't a whole lot he could do, unfortunately. Those gunships saw the opportunity, took the opportunity, and killed one of Team 1's players, again making it a tied game at 22 minutes. And with that, I'm going to speed it back up because essentially it's just kind of been very quiet now on the eastern front. We do see that Blinchik is going to, of course, have this huge advantage without having the commander here of Carl to be able to push in and at least force back now Gore's forces. In the west here, F still holding position, bombarding the remaining structures that Tynet built a long time ago. We do see, of course, bricks and T3 siege tanks emerging here for both of these players. And it looks like F is retreating. He also has nano on board. There's a lot of T3 units and T2 supporting units as well in this mix, which means it is not looking good here for Team 1's Ruby Red player on the western edge. Air forces are in favor of Team 1, though. Team 1 has the air advantage for the time being. ACU, says Carl, so he knows where RNA is sitting out for the time being. But now it's all quiet on the eastern front. Engineers outbound reclaiming all of the battling from earlier on. But realistically, after the win, Blinchik is like, I did my damage. I did what I wanted to do. I'm just going to hold back for this point. He doesn't want to push in, essentially be in this position that F is in, where it's just constant back and forth here, which, it's slowly favoring the defensive team because all of this mass, unless F is reclaiming it at the same time, I mean, it's really only going to favor Team 2, and this shield base is just getting more and more annoying to deal with. We haven't seen a major attack down the middle at any point in this game. A couple of scouts, but we are seeing some sort of attack outbound from Gore. He has a lot of parashields and a lot of obsidians. Love to see the obsidians in this game, though. They are the best T2 heavy tank unit in the game. With the T2.5 units, as I call them sometimes. Not all the time. I feel like sometimes they're not as effective as the Ilshis are. But they are really good. They are punching through. They have a lot of shields, of course. 1,500 hit points in shields. I think it's the most shield that a tank or Harbinger only has 1,000 as a comparison. You see the Ilshis coming in, though, just ripping apart all of the Harbingers first and then going after all the tanks. The Mexes are taken offline, though, for Blinchik. He's going to really be annoyed at that. And ASF moving in to protect the gunships here. The Restorers don't have a lot of air-to-ground weaponry, of course, in terms of damage. But, something is better than nothing. And it looks like those forces are starting to fall back to cover this position of T2 Mexes. Some of them were almost upgraded to T3. Definitely unfortunate. That's another grouping of Mexes that Blinchik is losing out at. Team 1 is now in the lead for mass income per second at almost 800 versus 770 roughly. We do see that those forces have now retreated and Team 1 is breaking through on the western side. It's been a long just siege over there, but he is starting to push through and his comm has fallen back. He doesn't want to be sniped by either of these players on Team 2, so he's going to fall back and just kind of hope for the best. Gunships still moving in, raiding all of the Mexes here for Blinchik. A couple of T3s in there as well. And those gunships trying to avoid the T3 AA and T2 mobile AA emplacements and stationary ones as well. T3 Mech's going to go offline. Team 2 is going to suffer a lot of mass assassinations at this point, but T3 AA going to be spammed up as quickly as it can be to deal with this threat. And that Restore Ball isn't super big, but it is enough to really make anybody kind of be worried about. Blinchik is in the water and he's like, hey, I'm down here, you can't target me, nah, 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 kind of thing. And there are a couple of Restorers that will just sink into the water. It takes a while for wrecks to just sink, so these will, it's probably about a minute or so. Not maybe a minute, probably like 30 seconds or something to really get to the bottom, depending on how deep it is. And those Restorers have now fled to the southern edge. You can't really cross this position because there's a lot of mobile flak in this, so he can go after all of this. Another mech's taken offline. He's just really... Blinchik is really suffering in the mass department. He still has that 300 mass income, to be fair, but they have 3 Mexes here, another couple Mexes here, Mechs there, 3 more Mexes there. I mean, that's 10 or so Mexes, some of them upgrading to T3. That's a lot of mass he's not getting back anytime soon. Bricks versus Othams in the west, excuse me, and it is not going good here for those brick forces. And I don't know if this is really going to favor Team 1 anymore. It's just dumping mass on this side of the map here. There are some engineers scooping up all the wrecks, but I think RNA is putting a lot of effort into this, and he wants it just not more than anything, but he just wants to deal with it and have it be done and over with, I imagine. Restorers moving in on the edge of the map, but AA units moving in to intercept them. Most of those will be severely damaged. They will kill off a couple more Mexes, though. Gore is not going to, not seize the opportunity to kill off another Mex. That's another 9 mass per second that Blinchik is not getting. He's just getting more ASF, and I'm assuming more Restorers built up over time, of course. Is he going for any bigger projects? No, just air grid currently. And that's really about it. Team 1 is getting a crab, skipping the monkey phase, going straight for crab here for F. And in the east, no monkeys as of yet for Gore. Oh, no, excuse me. Nope, that is a shield. That is not a monkey. Team 2, are you building any experimentals as of yet? No. Looks like massive air grid here for Blinchik as well, just to counteract Gore's air. And still, Team 1 is still breaking through. F's tenacity has got to be admired at least a little bit, because he's continuing to push, even though he's mounting heavy resistance and heavy casualties at the same time. Just really suffering. Percy's moving in, trying to go after all of the shield creep that's happening here for Team 1's Gore. Trying to protect all of the bricks against these Percys, and all the PD, of course, as well. Protecting those investments. But Restore is moving in, going to help clean up the ground, though. There are some T3 Cougars and T2 Flat Cannon Skyboxers in there. So those gunships are probably going to think twice about staying there long term. ARAS has been started for RNA, and still the brick threat is continuing to just be annoying for RNA. Really not getting anywhere, unfortunately, this against F. We do see a couple of artillery units moving in to deal with some spam facilities being built. And engineers on station scooping up all that reclaim. F is just being like, nope, all the units I lose, all the units I kill, they're going to my coffers, not yours, RNA. And in terms of reclaim, Team 2 is winning that game, actually, because of, I don't know why. I mean, the east side was taking out a decent amount, but I feel like Team 1 has reclaimed a lot of T3 units over there. Maybe it's just they got a better handle on the reclaim earlier on, possibly. But bricks are now in these main staging facilities here for RNA, ripping apart all of the new units built. Of course, all this mass is nearby Team 2, so it's not as much of a loss. It's still a loss, but it's not that much. ARAS has been canceled because he's like, okay, I got to deal with this. This is too much. T2 Mechs is being taken offline as well, so he's losing mass per second and units being built. And T3 artillery just bombarding these Percies over here. He's got to move them or they're just going to get lost. He doesn't want to lose units unnecessarily unless he like is going for something kind of thing. Still no efforts to go for artillery or nukes or game enders and that sort of thing so far. We do see a FAF has been started by Blinchik, and a chicken has now been completed. Now that's going to just completely force back F's forces in almost probably its entirety at this point, considering Team 1 does not have a crab as of yet, which, excuse me, they do. I actually will correct myself literally right after I said something. It's over there, and it is going to be sent forward. It is the longest range in terms of the mainline battle units, in terms of T4. Of course, the Fat Boys have better range. They're just not designed for direct, like, one-on-one combat kind of thing. It's not like a monkey versus a crab, or a monkey versus a colossus or chicken or something like where it's like the direct firing one another. The Fat Boys just mobile artillery. They do have some direct fire weapons on board, but they're really designed for just smaller units, not bigger units like the experimentals. Bricks holding strong against the Percy push. There we go. If I can talk correctly. We do see a lot of T3 AA units that the crab is going to link up with, and the ASFs are waiting with the restorers to move in. Looks like this is going to be the point of attack for everything from Team 1. Of course, the chicken has now shifted targets and have gone eastward to intercept all of these units. T2 artillery on the cliffside here is kind of annoying, but the chicken's weapons, I think, are tall enough to reach. I think it's tall enough to reach. And these are Aeons, I might add, so they have that miasma, kind of the lingering effects from their shots. Very similar to how the emissary happens, except it's just a single burst of damage after the shell lands. And more restorers coming into this ball. It's not looking good here for Team 2's air, because you've got AA severely on those restorers plus all of the ASF. It's going to make the air fight just very deadly for Team 2, because they can counter the gunships in a different manner. Of course, more chickens being built. The Fat Boy is almost two-thirds done here for Team 2's Blinchik. The crab has now reached his T3 support squads, I should say, and Bricks moving in, going after the spam facilities on this upper plateau. He's kind of sick and tired of dealing with that. The chicken is now rotated west, which the crab will exploit, pushing in straight forward. There are a decent amount of PD in the area. And of course, there is that Omni and T2 artillery Zathutham base being built. T3 has been finished for Blinchik in the east. Oh, he was in the east, in the water. And he's built an experimental. There's that Fat Boy. And now we see the counterattack of some artillery from Team 1's Gore. So we're attacking on two fronts. His restorers moving in. And they might go after that chicken. The chicken does retreat, though, trying to draw the crab into artillery range. And units to the west are moving in as well, just pincer maneuvering RNA's frontline forces over there. The artillery is just bombarding everything that approaches. A couple of those trebuchets have been taken offline, but it's just the bombardment of the century over here by T3 mobile artillery. Crab is pushing in, being shot at by T2 artillery down here. And they're going to start pushing in. Restorers might be given the call to go in, and I wouldn't be surprised to see AA just constantly be spammed up here by Team 2's RNA and Blinchik. Scout says Carl trying to figure out what's going on down there. And that crab is going for that chicken. There's no shields that's going to protect the chicken, at least for now. The shield emitter is taken offline. A couple of bricks will move in to assist as well. And those restorers are waiting to get the green light. Bricks moving in from the west here. It's not going to be great for Team 2's front line. There's a lot of flak, and there is that fat boy moving into now weapons range of the crab. The chicken trying to give the crab a hug. The crab's like, no touchy, no touchy. The crab's going to try to make it out of dodge. Might get singed a little bit by the ion storm. Maybe, but looks like he does make it out just barely. And with the bricks push in the west, the artillery is going to be taken offline. Take out the Omni sensor. Take that out. More PDs being built. There goes the Omni. The restorers still haven't been given the call to engage. They don't want to just throw everything at their opponent. Of course, every kill on this side of the map, unless Team 2 doesn't retain the position, will be reclaimed by Team 2, so it's just essentially quote-unquote donating mass. Team 2 still leading the reclaim game 119 to 100,000, but not by much. And Team 1 is winning the mass generating gain at 1.3 versus 1.1. Team 2 is going to have another trick up their sleeves, or their territory is going to get crushed just ever so slightly. Another chicken has been built. The Iron Storm has now run out of energy, and Fatboy is moving back. Bricks now coalescing around that chicken. Chicken just suffering a lot of hit point damages per second, and it might just go back into the water. But of course, the bricks cannot be targeted underneath the surface of the water easily, and they have torpedoes on board, which means they can still target the chicken, and the chicken cannot target the bricks. Restore is waiting to engage. There's not a lot of T3 AA over here on this western edge. We could see an attempt by those restorers to move in on this western edge. Of course, those ASF are essentially bottlenecked. They're forced to sit in this position, and at the same time, we have Gore constantly moving in on this eastern side, has completely pushed back Blinchik and is chasing him now with his bricks. We see some broadswords and some Ravagers trying to be built to deal with this incoming pressure, but it's not going anywhere anytime soon. Fat Boy diverted to this attack now. Another Fat Boy going to be built by Blinchik to stop this blink. Bricks make it to the other side of the water and are quote-unquote ambushed by the chicken. Restorers could push in, but now they're moving in a different direction. Looks like they're going eastward and around to go after Blinchik. Blinchik is now in weapons range of the bricks. He does have the shield on board. 4-star veterancy and T3 engineering suite, giving him 40,000 hit points. A lot of hit points to chew through. There's one brick remaining going after T3 mechs. I don't think it'll be taken offline. It might be close, though. There is an Otham moving in to intercept at the same time, though, and the restorers looks like they might go for Blinchik's commander. He's got to be very careful because that amount of restorers will kill him very, very quickly here, especially even having those 40,000 hit points. There are a couple of AA emplacements nearby, but not a lot, and I think the restorers might... No, they're not going to... Still haven't gone for it yet. I don't know what they're waiting for, maybe for the bricks to move in, but I think the restorers are going to go for it. He's going to move in and just fan them out, it looks like. Maybe lining them up for a better engagement, possibly. Let's see what he does with them. He's going to move them forward and continuing to push them in all at once. Look at this. Just fanning them out, moving in, going after those fat boys, it looks like. Not the restores. ASF move in, but there's a lot of AA missiles on board those restorers. They're going after all of the AA emplacements, now being tasked back onto that fat boy. And that fat boy is losing hit points very quickly. There goes the first fat boy, almost gone and dusted. Second fat boy is now the main target. Blinchik's commander is being ignored. Probably doesn't want to give all the mass income to RNA, I would assume, is the reason why they didn't go after the comm. And of course, that is the downside with full share games, or even partial share games, is all of the mass income goes to somebody else. So it's essentially, okay, now you have more mass to play with. Oh, you're building an artillery? Oh, you can build it faster. You're building a Novax? Oh, you can build that faster, kind of thing. That's what Gore is being a little bit cautious of. He doesn't want to hand over almost double the eco to RNA. I mean, obviously, he doesn't know how much eco that Team 2 is producing, but, you know, we know, and it's double the eco, essentially, if one player donates everything else over. Gun advanced range being online here for Gore. Wants to protect against any sort of teleportation, which there's no Cyberns on Team 2, so there's no threat of telemaser. But still, some teleportation is possible by Team 2. We see a lot of bricks building up here and a lot of Cerberus. Actually, are those Gunthers or are those? Yeah, those are Gunthers. Those are T2. That's T2 artillery. Oh no, yeah, that's a lot of Gunthers. I don't know what he's gonna do with all those Gunthers, but maybe trying to counteract the FAF boys possibly is what he's doing. It's T3 already timed, says Carl. RNA says there's a... Oh, look, that's a scathis being built by F up there to the north. So Team 2 knows about that. I'm going to speed it back up now because it looks like the main action has died down a little bit. Team 1 bombers inbound. Going after the mass fabs, not underneath shield coverage. Kills off 4 mass a second with that. So not a lot of mass, but it's something. It's better than nothing. And all those T2 artillery is going to be built and just trying to force back Team 2's aggressive push with Lobos. I think it's T3 artillery. It is not. It is just more air grids for Team 2. Not as much pressure is being diverted to this, just a little bit just to keep Team 2's attention, looks like. Gore, again, still using all of those restorers. Maybe he'll go after Blinchick's commander, but more AA has been built since the last time he's engaged with that. Looks like he's going to protect that crab. Lots of ASF here for Gore. Lots and lots and lots of ASF. Almost 200 of them, and actually more than 200 because some of them are bingo on fuel. And the bricks and Redeemers push forward, giving time for the engineers to build more of those Gunthers. And of course, they're going to run into a chicken once again, but there's a lot of bricks here. There's a lot of bricks here. 43 minutes on the clock here. Lots of Lobos being ripped apart, being used as cannon fodder. T2 artillery has been rebuilt once again and is trying to just reduce the hit points on those bricks just ever so slightly if they can. Percy's being thrown into the mix as well, inbound from Blinchick, but that's not going to be enough. That chicken is most likely dead in the water over there. Fat Boy in the middle of the map pushing in. This might be the first major engagement from Team 2 down the middle. Another Fat Boy down here. Looks like some gunship is going to be eaten alive by that ASF ball. And the bricks using the water for coverage once again. And the hit points on the chickens going down very, very quickly due to all of the torps being released from their housings on board those bricks. But looks like all the torpedoes are actually going after the AA emplacements. Apologies. That was just the shots from the other bricks. There we go. Now they're being thrown at that chicken. Not as quickly, but it is some damage. RNA is in the water, though. He only has 12,000 hit points to his name. If the bricks do focus him down, that could be a kill. But it doesn't look like Team 1's F is paying attention to the comm specifically, even if they knew that's where the comm was. Doesn't look like they know where the comm is, though, unfortunately, for that. But that would have been a great play, killing off the comm underneath the surface of the water. But Brick Force with Crab moving in, killing off the Fat Boy, again, ignoring the ACU that's right in his face. It's right there. You could literally crush him. There it goes. Looks like the Crab has now refocused. And the bricks are now targeting Blinchick. He is dead in the land. There's no escape for him. No transport. No nothing. There he goes. Team 2 loses another player. They're down to 1. That being RNA. More chickens being built. And we have pigeons being taken offline. Air grids are just being ripped to shreds. Air fight over the top here between the restorers and the ASF from Team 1 and the ASF from Team 2. And it looks like Team 2 might win the air fight here by a considerable margin, I would say. 161 ASF remains. That is air that's air supremacy territory, but 2 of the air grids have been taken offline, so that's going to hurt the ability for Team 2 to replenish their ASF. And those units from Team 1's Gore have been pretty much reduced. There's a lot more of those Medusa inbound, though, but with the air victory for Team 2, that will slow down Team 1's roll a little bit, but of course we have to remember that Scathis is still online, and that is a very big ticket item here for Team 2 to take out. If Team 1 gets that online, that's game over, unless Team 2 can find a way to kill that off, either before it's built or soon after it's built. And now there's another lull in activity. Still the ASF sitting in the middle of the map. Not the best place to sit, I might add, but you know, it's a place to park your fighter there for a little bit. Team 1 bombers moving in, going after those Harbingers. Ravagers being taken offline, Engineers being taken offline. Are they going to get the other air grid down here? I don't think they have enough firepower to punch through. So no, more T3 mechs is being taken offline. Team 1, 1.5k mass income. Team 2 at 600. That being under the full control of RNA. You are very snipeable, says Carl, talking probably about F, not about Core, because Core is underneath a decent amount of shielding, but F's just kind of in the middle of nowhere up there to the north. And at this point, I think Team 1's strategy is just going to try to contain Team 2 as much as they can. We see some crabs in the middle poking and prodding at all of those Team 1 artillery in the middle, all of these Lobos. There is a couple of Fat Boys nearby, but they're focusing on all the other Team 1 artilleries from Gore coming in from the east. Looks like an artillery has been started by RNA. He needs to fight against the mighty pressure from the scathis. Once that is finished, or finish it before the scathis is finished. It is about half done, closing in on 2/3 done. 1,000 hit points away from being 2/3 to be specific. Chickens pushing in here with some Autumn support. All those remaining units falling back. Decent amount of artillery has been built. Looks like they're switching over to PD construction. All of those Cerberus PD. Unfortunately, I don't know if it's going to be built enough in time. If they were Fat Boys, the artillery might be enough, but still, you're trying to shoot at a moving target. This chicken is almost dead, though. If this chicken is killed off before it reaches the main line of defenses, it might be enough to hold off Team 2's RNA. It's chickens, but it's going to be a tall order there. But does kill off the first chicken. Bricks engage. And more PDs being built. Shields going to be built as well. This chicken does retreat for a little bit, giving Team 1 a little bit more time, a little bit more breathing room to work with. And it's just going to be a walled off section of the map here for Team 1 on that side of the map. You can see just constant pressure here from Gore from the east, not allowing Team 2 to be reestablished over here. You do see in the southwest that artillery is almost online already, and I'm assuming it's going to go directly for that Scathis, because why would it go for anything else? Scathis, speaking of which, has crossed the 66% mark, is about ready to get into the 75% territory, being in the green for the hit points. Team 1 is trying to build that as fast as they can. At least F is trying to. I feel like Gore can hand a couple of engineers, or shift some engineers over there to help assist with some spending of the mass. I guess he has neither player has mass to spend in terms of what they're building. Gore is, of course, focused on going for his ASF because he's desperately in need of more air forces to deal with Team 2's supremacy. More and more PDs being built all the time. The artillery has been stopped. Looks like the chicken's given up and fallen back. Still, this pressure here from Team 1 is mounting. Crabs are inbound. There are 2 Fat Boys, and there are 2 crabs to the north. This could be a 4-crab push if F sends his forces in. ASF guarding the skies to allow the Team 1 bombers to move in unopposed. There are a couple of bouncers in there, but not too many. And we have some Corsairs inbound targeting the Fat Boys themselves. That way they can reduce the shields on board and make it easier for the crabs to engage. I feel like the crabs, they're just waiting to be given the green light, but they're not going to be, unfortunately. I feel like that would be a great opportunity for a nice little pincer maneuver, but it is not to be. Of course, those crabs are moving into weapons range of those Fat Boys, and if the Fat Boys don't fall back, it's going to be a deadly day for them. 2 chickens moving in from the south. That will be enough to force back these crabs at least a little bit, because they're focused primarily on the Fat Boys. So they're not focusing on anything else, which is good for Team 2, but they're going to lose a Fat Boy or 2. The crabs still holding strong, though. Looks like that's more of a defensive play. And artillery is now targeting the air grid here for Gore, making sure that he cannot fight back in the air department. Scathis in 8,000 hit points, which means 1,000 hit points are needed to finish off its construction. Chickens take out one of the crabs. The other crab is trying to back up as fast as they can. One of the Fat Boys is taken offline. The other Fat Boy does make it out of range. And unfortunately, both those chickens for Team 1 will survive from Team 2. And now the crabs are given the orders to engage, which is definitely a mistake. They should have been given orders when those crabs were over here. They'd meet in the middle kind of thing. Definitely a missed opportunity in that regard. But at the same time, F is sending forces in on the western edge of Team 2's front line, trying to get in around. But there's so many Fat Boys built, it's going to be very difficult to get them further into Team 2's territory. Second artillery has been built. And third one going to be built here pretty shortly. Now they're retasked onto that scathis, which is about to finish. There are some hives that have been started, but they probably will be built even more to assist with shield integrity. Yeah, I just feel like the crabs, they had an opportunity to group up, but they just didn't do so. You can see just how many hit points are being reduced per second on board those crabs. I think they're going for the FAF boys, but it's just that's a free crabs mass is what that is. And this one is going to die too as well. There's no hope for this one. That's 4 crabs on Team 2 side of the map. Lots of reclaim for RNA to get. Medusa is constantly streaming in here from Gore on the eastern side, and Scathis has now been completed. As it fires all of its cannons. Third artillery is almost online. That might be enough to crack the shielding for F if it does get completed. And more shields are being built, though. I do love to see this, that F is constantly building more and more shielding. Oh, that's got to hurt, though. Look at all those E-storages that just went up one after the other. That's got to hurt his E-storage. Oh, yeah, that was a lot. He still has full bar, but that was a lot of power that he just didn't want to lose. That he stockpiled there for a while. At this point, it's just going to be an artillery stalemate. Is if the artillery from Team 1 can crack Team 2's, or if Team 2's can crack Team 1 at this point. They are saved from shielding, and they are being assisted. That one almost came offline for a second. Once the third artillery is done, all these engineers will just go for P-gens and then go for more shields and assistance. It's just going to be a matter of time between, or when Team 1 cracks or Team 2 cracks at this point. More and more Medusa being thrown at this. Couple of broadswords getting some nice veterancy, though. You do see a couple of them just sitting waiting for orders to be called in. Just constant yellow dots streaming across the map. We have F in the water in the north, and then we have Gore in the middle of his base over here. He just filled it with P-gens just to assist with defenses. Love to see that. Of course, he could have rebuilt with all P-gens, but... Or sorry, with shields in place of P-gens to just defend a lot better. You can see the shielding is kind of holding, but it is starting to crack. And that's the third artillery is online. That is the downside with the scathis. There's so many shots that miss constantly. It just really makes it difficult to focus fire on anything with that thing. You can see just the wide berth of shots, like a shotgun blast, and then it travels, you know, however many kilometers across the map. I mean, this is the primary shield, and I think this one's also getting some assistance. So there's a couple of main shields being assisted. It's going to protect all 3 of those artillery emplacements. RNA is not going to give up without a fight, though. 55 minutes on the clock. How is the shielding going here for Team 1's Scathis? Well, it's still fine. It's getting even more expanded at, minute by minute. Large blob of Chevy Crimson in the south, though. There's a crab. There's another crab. There's one fat boy. Where'd the chickens go for RNA? There's one over here, but there's bricks that got past the chickens, and they are inbound for that artillery. Once RNA loses that, that's game over for him. He needs to kill off the Scathis for Team 1 and then kill off the air grid. Once he does that, I think he'll be in a way better position. But he doesn't have his own air grid, so he really only has a couple of air facilities, but that's it. Shields can't stay up until there's no energy, says Carl. Shields can't stay up when there is no energy. Okay, I was like, what? That sentence does not make sense. The bricks do not break through, but the crabs are starting to make work. The 2 chickens that were on the frontal defense are now pushing southward. Strat bombers are inbound, though. And is that going to be enough? Apologies for that. I clicked off screen for a second. Are the strat bombers going to be enough? There they go. They drop their bombs. Shields are going to start to collapse with all that firepower raining in at once. Is it going to be enough? The shields do hold, but there's not many AA defenses around it. Epic, well played, says Carl. The strat bombers are off screen for a brief moment. And the ASF come in and clean up the skies. So those ASFs are not going to be able to be used. They're all dead. Apologies for missing that, but that's what happened over here. And here come the Strat Bombers once again. T3AA sites are being built as quickly as they can be, but the shields are falling. One breaks through, takes out a couple of the emitters, and more bombers are being killed off. We have a lot of ASF still here guarding the skies. One chicken is down. The other chicken is down. Shields are back online. How's the Scathis doing to the north? Scathis is still fine. Lots more shielding still being built around it, though. Another bombing run inbound from those Strat Bombers. Shields are holding, though. So it's not looking good here for those artillery. It looks like the Scathis is actually focused fire on something else, going for this position for some reason. Don't know why. But most of the defenders in the south for Team 2 are gone. 2 crabs are inbound. One is going to be just lasered to death. There's 1 chicken remaining. And speed it up back to 0, though. So those artillery will be fine. There'll be more AA defenses for them to use. More Strat Bombers are being built in the interim, though, and more restorers as well. It's just Team 2 can just not crack the shielding. There's some gaps in some shielding somewhere where shields have been taken offline, but it's just not enough. That Scathis is still fine. And you can see all of the bursts and shields just going down. The frontal assault has commenced once again from engineers and just Team 1 spam. This side is falling, essentially leaving Team 2's remaining hope being the artillery. But that crab is slowly moving in, taking out the chicken. And once that's down, all it has to do is push and take out the FAF boy, and that's game. Scathis still holding. It's a lot of its shields being popped on and off. It's just not enough, it looks like, for Team 2. I think Team 2 needed 1 more, and I think that would have been enough. Looks like he's actually retasked onto something else. He's going for the comm? I think he's going for the comm of F. Yeah, that's what he's going for. He's going for F in the water up here. But I think he's too deep in the water to be targeted, possibly. The shots have to be, I think, precise for it to really make any work. And in the south, Strat Bombers move in to assist. One of the artilleries is taken offline. Crab is in range, or starting to be in range. Strat Bombers get another bombing run in. Still the shields hold, but they were able to take out the shields just for a brief moment to kill one of the artilleries off. And with that, the comm is still fine. Looks like he didn't take any damage. The front line has now collapsed. FAF point has no shielding remaining. And the crab for Team 1's Gore is still holding. It's gonna kill the chicken. The chicken is too late. Should have engaged it sooner. And the shields, they're not gonna last that much longer, especially with more and more units and more firepower raining in. Looks like the comm is still, well, was being targeted, but RNA doesn't know where he is anymore. He still assumes he's there, but he hasn't moved. Well, he has moved, is what he's assuming he's there. Those crabs, I mean, they have that long range on board. It makes a huge difference. T2 PD cannot target them if they stay at range. Scathis fire raining in, takes out a decent amount of engineers and other defenses. The shields are now officially offline. PGens, are they going to be reclaimed in time? That one does. A lot of engineers get taken offline. Another shield emitter is offline. Another PGen going to be targeted. T3 air headquarters, providing a little bit of body protection for a couple of shots. But Scathis fire raining in once again. There goes one of the last PGens. Gets a couple more shots off. The crab is killed. 2 artilleries remain. There's a couple of crabs over here too. A couple of bricks over there and a couple of bangers. Another set of Scathis fire will be enough. The shields are offline anyways. The FAF are trying to donate its shield to protect the artillery, but one artillery is down. This one has 2,450 hit points remaining. There's another FAF boy over here, but it's not going to work. 1 artillery remains. 1 AA emplacement remains. Team 2's RNA sitting at 80 mass per second. The shields on board the FAF were enough to deter one incoming barrage. RNA in the water, out of the water, in the water, out of the water. Havatham at 800 hit points remaining, and Torp Bombers kill off the comm of RNA, and that is game being won by Team 1. Look at that map, just all the red. I think for this game, apologies for yawning there for a second. I think MVP for this game, it's probably got to go. I think Gore gets the win for this just because he just really pummeled Team 2 constantly. Once Gore got control of Carl's old base, he had enough eco to really just pump out tons and tons of gunships, tons and tons of bombers. Really did a great job with that. Of course, he knocked out the southern side. That's really what collapsed this game for Team 2, is this southern side dying. Once Blinchik was eliminated, it was essentially just a matter of how long can Team 2 last, because it's a nice vector for any sort of air units to move in, as we saw multiple times of just bombers moving in that way. I do apologize for that blinking or cut in the video. I clicked off screen for a second, so I missed a little bit of the action here. The ASS were wiped out by Team 1's Gore as well. They were caught napping, which was the issue, so they got a nice free passing, and by that point, it was done and dusted. But let me know down in the comments who you think deserve MVP for this match. Of course, if you haven't done so already, like the video and subscribe to the channel. Thank you so very much for watching to the end, and I will see all of you in the next one.